Close your eyes. April 26, 2011. Satoshi Nakamoto sends a final email to a software developer in Amherst, Massachusetts. The email is brief. It says he has moved on to other things and that the future of Bitcoin is in good hands. Then Satoshi goes silent, and he never comes back. The man who receives that email is Gavin Anderson. He had found Bitcoin in 2010 almost by accident, started contributing code, and within a year found himself holding the keys to the most important repository in crypto, Bitcoin's lead developer. The person Satoshi trusted above everyone else to carry the project forward. Anderson does that job for the next several years, releasing updates, coordinating developers, talking to the press and to regulators when no one else would. He is the reason Bitcoin survived its most fragile years, the reason it grew from a curiosity into something the world had to take seriously. And then in 2016, in a hotel room in London, he does something that will effectively end his career in Bitcoin. He meets a man who claims to be Satoshi Nakamoto, and he publicly says he believes him. The community turns on him almost immediately. His commit access to the Bitcoin repository is revoked. This is the story of Gavin Anderson, the man who held Bitcoin together after Satoshi left, and what it cost him. Now, open your eyes to the unfolding saga and ready yourself for Chapter 1. The year was 1966, and in the sunlit city of Adelaide, Australia, a child named Gavin Bell came into the world. His arrival was unassuming, much like the early days of the digital currency he would later help shape. As the years passed, the vibrant Australian scenery gave way to a different kind of landscape, the academic halls of Princeton University in New Jersey. In 1988, Gavin graduated from Princeton, armed with a degree in computer science. The world was on the cusp of vast technological changes, and he was ready to be part of it. The late 1980s and early 1990s marked the dawn of the Internet era, a time when opportunities seemed limitless for those with the skills to navigate this new digital frontier. Gavin's early career thrived amidst this technological revolution. He worked with innovative companies and absorbed the growing culture of experimentation and risk. However, it wasn't until the late 2000s that he would make a pivotal move, settling in Amherst, Massachusetts. This picturesque town would become the backdrop for the most transformative period of his life. Amherst, with its serene landscapes and academic vibrancy, was a place where Gavin found both peace and inspiration. It was here that he continued to nurture his passion for software development, always seeking the next big thing. And then, in 2010, he discovered Bitcoin. This enigmatic digital currency, created by the elusive Satoshi Nakamoto, captured his imagination. Bitcoin was introduced to the world just a year earlier, in 2009, as a decentralized currency free from the constraints of traditional banking systems. It was revolutionary, yet its potential was not fully realized. At the time, Bitcoin's market value was barely in the thousands of dollars, a mere fraction of what it would become. But Gavin saw the future in its cryptographic foundations. Gavin's first interaction with Bitcoin was not just an academic exercise. It was a moment of revelation. He saw a novel way to redefine financial transactions and open new avenues for economic freedom. With each line of code he examined, his conviction grew stronger. Bitcoin was more than just digital money. It was an idea with the power to disrupt and liberate. As he delved deeper, Gavin's interest evolved from passive curiosity to active involvement. He began contributing to the Bitcoin project, bringing his technical expertise and vision to the table. It was in this context that he made one of his most iconic contributions, the Bitcoin faucet. Launched in 2010, this simple website gave away 5 free Bitcoin to visitors, a gesture that now seems almost unfathomable given Bitcoin's later value surge. The Bitcoin faucet was more than just a giveaway. It was a strategic move to cultivate a community and spark widespread interest. In those early days, when Bitcoin's practicality was questioned and its value was uncertain, Gavin's initiative helped introduce countless individuals to the world of digital currency. It was a beacon of accessibility and inclusivity. Through this endeavor, Gavin demonstrated his commitment not just to the technology, but to the ethos of Bitcoin itself: decentralization, transparency, and empowerment. As more people learned about Bitcoin, the community began to grow, and so did Gavin's role within it. By 2011, he had become a pivotal figure in the network, trusted by many and relied upon for his technical acumen. In April 2011, a significant shift occurred in Gavin's journey, one that would forever change his trajectory. Satoshi Nakamoto, the mysterious creator of Bitcoin, reached out via email. This correspondence was not just a passing exchange, it bore the weight of a transition in leadership. As Satoshi stepped back from the project, trust was placed in Gavin to shepherd it forward. This moment was not one of mere professional responsibility, but of profound personal alignment with Bitcoin's core mission. Gavin understood the gravity of the situation. To honor the vision Satoshi had set forth while maintaining Bitcoin's integrity and potential. His stewardship was a testament to the trust and respect he had garnered within the community. Over the following months, Gavin became more than just a developer. He was a caretaker of sorts, guiding Bitcoin through its formative years. His contributions to the codebase were critical, but equally important were his efforts to grow Bitcoin's user base. He worked tirelessly to improve the software's usability and security, ensuring that Bitcoin could fulfill its promise as a decentralized currency. During this period, stories of Bitcoin's early transactions began to emerge, capturing the public's imagination. One such story was the legendary transaction of 2 pizzas purchased for 10,000 Bitcoin. It was a moment that underscored both the novelty and potential value of this new form of currency. Gavin was at the heart of these developments, witnessing firsthand the evolution of a movement he helped cultivate. Yet amidst this burgeoning success, there were challenges. The rapid growth of Bitcoin attracted not only enthusiasts, but also skeptics and critics. Gavin understood that with innovation came scrutiny, and he was prepared to address the questions and doubts. His approach was one of transparency and engagement, striving to educate and inform rather than dismiss or ignore. As the first chapter of Gavin's journey draws to a close, we find him standing at a crossroads. His early life, education, and career had led him to Bitcoin, but the path ahead was uncertain and fraught with complexity. The decisions he would make in the coming years would not only shape his legacy, but also the future of Bitcoin itself. And so, as we prepare to turn the page to the next chapter, we reflect on the foundations of Gavin Andresen's story. From a childhood in Australia to his pivotal role in the rise of Bitcoin, his journey is marked by vision, dedication, and a profound belief in the power of decentralized technology. In the chapters to follow, we will explore the intricate dance between progress and peril, trust and trepidation, as Gavin navigates the complex world of cryptocurrency. As he steps deeper into the role assigned to him by Satoshi Nakamoto, the challenges will grow and the stakes will rise. Join us next time as we delve into Chapter 2, The First Contact, where the enigmatic communication between Gavin Andresen and Bitcoin's creator unfolds, setting the stage for what is to come. Gavin Andresen sat at his desk, eyes fixated on the glowing screen, as he read the email that would change his life forever. It was April 2011, and the message was from a pseudonymous figure named Satoshi Nakamoto. The email was concise, yet its impact was profound. Satoshi was stepping back, and he was entrusting Gavin with the future of Bitcoin. It was both an exhilarating and daunting proposition. Bitcoin, still in its nascent stages, was a digital frontier few dared to explore. The year before, in May 2010, Laszlo Hanyecz had famously traded 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas in Jacksonville, Florida. The transaction, seemingly trivial at the time, marked the beginning of Bitcoin's journey from obscure novelty to a revolutionary financial instrument. At that moment, Bitcoin's market value was still in the thousands of dollars, yet its potential was boundless, and Gavin was keenly aware of the responsibility he now bore. Born Gavin Bell in Adelaide, Australia in 1966, he had always been drawn to the cutting edge of technology. After graduating from Princeton University in 1988 with a degree in computer science, he embarked on a career that would eventually lead him to the quiet town of Amherst, Massachusetts. It was here, amid the serene landscapes of the Pioneer Valley, that Gavin discovered Bitcoin in 2010. The year he found Bitcoin was transformative. He was captivated by its promise of decentralization and financial sovereignty. As a software developer with an entrepreneurial spirit, Gavin saw Bitcoin as a project not just of technology, but of ideology. He quickly immersed himself in its development, contributing to the code base and working tirelessly to expand its user base. In response to the challenge of introducing Bitcoin to the masses, Gavin launched the Bitcoin Faucet in 2010. It was a simple yet ingenious initiative. By giving away 5 free Bitcoin to anyone who visited the website, he demystified the cryptocurrency and encouraged broader adoption. Those early recipients, perhaps oblivious to the future value of their digital coins, were part of an experiment that laid the groundwork for the burgeoning Bitcoin community. Communication with Satoshi was always marked by an air of mystery. The pseudonym added an enigmatic allure to their exchanges, yet their dialogue was straightforward, devoid of pretension. Satoshi's decision to step back was not accompanied by detailed explanations, only a quiet transfer of trust. For Gavin, it was a pivotal moment, one that would define his role as Bitcoin's caretaker. Gavin's contributions to Bitcoin were both technical and philosophical. He worked on scalability, security enhancements, and usability improvements, all while nurturing a decentralized ethos. His approach was collaborative, fostering a community-driven development model that encouraged innovation and inclusivity. By 2011, Bitcoin had begun to capture the imagination of technologists, libertarians, and forward thinkers around the globe. Its ascent was not without challenges. Regulatory scrutiny and skepticism from traditional financial institutions loomed large, yet the community, emboldened by a shared vision, pressed on. Gavin, with his steady demeanor and technical acumen, emerged as a guiding force. His leadership style was marked by openness and transparency. He valued dialogue and sought consensus, recognizing that Bitcoin's strength lay in its decentralized nature. As Gavin navigated the complexities of Bitcoin's growth, he remained steadfast in his commitment to its core principles. This was not merely his job, but his mission. Bitcoin was still young, its path uncharted, and every decision carried weight. Gavin understood the stakes. He was not just building software, he was shaping a movement. The pressure was immense, yet he was guided by a quiet resolve. In the ever-evolving landscape of cryptocurrency, trust was a scarce commodity. Gavin knew that for Bitcoin to succeed, it needed to build credibility. His efforts extended beyond code. He was an ambassador for Bitcoin, advocating for its potential in a world wary of change. As 2011 drew to a close, the pieces of Bitcoin's future were slowly coming together. The community was vibrant, driven by a collective belief in a decentralized future. Gavin's role as a steward of the project was critical, and his influence was felt far and wide. The rise of Bitcoin was not just a technological revolution, but a cultural one. It challenged the status quo, offering an alternative to traditional financial systems. Gavin, ever the visionary, embraced this paradigm shift with a sense of purpose. As Bitcoin's profile rose, so did the scrutiny. Its volatility became a topic of intense debate, both within and outside the community. Gavin faced these challenges with equanimity, advocating for measured growth and thoughtful development. Amidst the trials, there were triumphs. Bitcoin conferences sprang up, drawing enthusiasts and skeptics alike. The discourse was dynamic, and Gavin was at the forefront, fostering dialogue and encouraging collaboration. His work was far from finished. The foundation had been laid, but the structure was still being built. Gavin's role as a caretaker was one of constant vigilance, balancing innovation with prudence. The stakes were high, but the rewards were immense. In the coming years, Bitcoin would face more hurdles, and Gavin would be tested in ways he could not yet imagine. But for now, in 2011, he stood on the cusp of a revolution, buoyed by the promise of what Bitcoin could become. The journey was only beginning, and the road was long. As Gavin looked to the future, he knew the path would be fraught with challenges. Yet, he remained hopeful, driven by a belief in Bitcoin's potential to reshape the world. Chapter 2 comes to a close, leaving us with a sense of anticipation. The stage is set for the next chapter, where Gavin's journey will take unforeseen twists and turns. His role as a caretaker was only part of the story. The rise was just beginning, and the fall was yet to come. In the quiet corridors of Bitcoin's early development, Gavin Andresen stood as a solitary figure of trust and dedication. After Satoshi Nakamoto's unexpected departure in April 2011, Andresen became the de facto leader of the project. It wasn't a role he sought, but one that fell upon him as the community looked for someone to guide them through uncharted waters. With Satoshi's last known communication, a simple email stating he had moved on to other things, the weight of the future rested heavily on Gavin's shoulders. Gavin, a graduate of Princeton University in 1988, had always been drawn to the mechanics of computers and the potential they held. His previous work in 3D graphics and virtual reality had taught him the importance of innovation, yet it was Bitcoin that captured his full intellectual and emotional investment. The Bitcoin faucet he created, which dispensed 5 free Bitcoins to visitors, was more than just a tool. It was a statement of belief in a decentralized future. In 2010, when Bitcoin's total market value was just in the thousands of dollars, it was the vision of what could be that drove Andresen forward. In Amherst, Massachusetts, where he had settled in the late 2000s, Gavin worked from a modest office cluttered with computer parts and code drafts. The local coffee shops became his informal boardrooms, where the hum of background chatter often accompanied his coding sessions. It was here, amidst the fallen leaves and the quiet lanes, that Andresen began to craft the next chapter of Bitcoin's journey. As the caretaker, Gavin's primary focus was on maintaining and improving the Bitcoin codebase. He understood that to grow Bitcoin's user base, the system must be both robust and accessible. With a dedication akin to a watchmaker refining a complex timepiece, he meticulously scrutinized lines of code, ensuring each function was as efficient and secure as possible. By 2011, Bitcoin was starting to gain the attention of a broader audience. The infamous transaction where 10,000 Bitcoins were exchanged for 2 pizzas was not just a quirky anecdote, but a signal that Bitcoin held tangible potential. It was stories like these that fueled the conversations between Andresen and the small but growing community of developers and enthusiasts around the world. Gavin's role required more than technical prowess. It demanded diplomacy and vision. His emails and forum posts were infused with a calm authority. It is one that reassured and inspired those who were still skeptical of Bitcoin's viability. He became a lightning rod for both praise and criticism, often navigating heated debates on proposed changes or upgrades with a steady, considerate hand. In these early days, trust was Bitcoin's most valuable currency, and trust was something Gavin had earned through his transparency and evident passion for the project's success. Unlike traditional financial systems, Bitcoin offered no safety nets or intermediaries. One misstep could spell disaster for the fledgling currency. Despite the pressure, Gavin remained steadfast. He would often remind his fellow contributors that the goal was not to replace existing systems immediately, but to build something robust and fair for the future. He envisioned a world where Bitcoin would empower individuals, providing financial services to those excluded by traditional banking systems. As the public face of Bitcoin, Gavin was also tasked with addressing the media and potential investors. This role was both a blessing and a burden. On one hand, it allowed him to share his enthusiasm for the project with a wider audience. On the other, it placed him in the crosshairs of skepticism and scrutiny. The media landscape in 2011 was a patchwork of curiosity and doubt. Bitcoin was a headliner not only for its innovative technology, but also for its association with the dark web and illicit activities. Gavin worked tirelessly to distinguish the technology from its misuses, emphasizing the neutrality and potential of the blockchain. His appearances were marked by a careful balance of technical explanation and human touch. He spoke not only of algorithms and cryptography, but of the people who could benefit from decentralized finance. It was a narrative that resonated with many, yet the shadow of controversy was never far behind. In 2011, Satoshi's absence was strongly felt during pivotal decisions involving Bitcoin's scaling debate, a precursor to more intense discussions that would follow in later years. Andreessen knew that maintaining unity within the community was crucial for the project's survival. His leadership style was collaborative, valuing input from diverse voices and always seeking consensus. His efforts to grow the community included outreach to developers and fostering an open-source culture that invited contributions from around the globe. This inclusivity was vital for the innovation and resilience that would characterize Bitcoin's development. Gavin's stewardship during these formative years laid the groundwork for future growth and adoption. Yet, beneath the surface of these achievements lay the simmering tensions that would eventually lead to his misstep. The growing pains of a decentralized project were felt most keenly by those at its helm. As Bitcoin gained traction, so too did the complexity of managing its direction and public perception. In the face of these challenges, Gavin remained composed, often turning to his family for solace and balance. His wife and children provided the grounding he needed as Bitcoin's trajectory became more unpredictable. They were the constants in his life, reminding him that his quest for Bitcoin was as much about creating a better world for them as it was for others. As 2012 approached, Bitcoin was entering a new era. Its value was rising, and its potential applications were expanding beyond imagination. Yet, the path was fraught with uncertainty, and the pressure on Gavin and his team was intensifying. In the next chapter, we will explore how Gavin Andreessen became the public face of Bitcoin, facing the inevitable challenges that came with representing a decentralized project. The stage was set for both triumphs and trials that would test the very fabric of the community he helped build. The stage was set for both triumphs and trials that would test the very fabric of the community he helped build. Gavin Andreessen stood at a crossroads, a quiet yet pivotal moment in the wide expanse of Bitcoin's narrative. As 2011 unfolded, Bitcoin was transitioning from the obscure corners of cryptographic communities into the periphery of mainstream awareness. In the small town of Amherst, Massachusetts, Gavin refined his vision for Bitcoin, which was more than a mere digital curiosity. It was a revolutionary tool for financial democratization. The platform was young, its value still nebulous, fluctuating against a backdrop of skepticism and cautious optimism. Gavin's role was clear, not to lead but to shepherd. He moved with optimism, focusing on strengthening the network's infrastructure. His contributions were meticulous, aimed at ensuring that Bitcoin remained robust, adaptable, and above all, secure. His interactions with the community revealed a man not seduced by power, but driven by a genuine belief in Bitcoin's potential. Yet, This period was not without its tensions. As Bitcoin's visibility grew, so did the scrutiny. The year 2011 marked a turning point, not just for Bitcoin, but for the man who was fast becoming its public face. Bitcoin's market value surged past $1 million, a staggering rise from its modest beginnings. For Gavin, this was a double-edged sword. The more valuable Bitcoin became, the more it attracted both advocates and critics. The infamous pizza purchase of 2010, where 2 pizzas were bought for 10,000 Bitcoin, was now a parable of missed fortunes and the unpredictable nature of innovation. Gavin often reflected on this with a wry smile, knowing that Bitcoin's volatility was both its allure and its Achilles heel. As a key figure, Gavin was thrust into the spotlight. His words carried weight, and with that came responsibility. One might say he was Bitcoin's ambassador to the wider world, explaining its nuances to technologists, economists, and curious onlookers. By April 2011, Satoshi Nakamoto, the enigmatic creator of Bitcoin, had withdrawn into the shadows, leaving Gavin as the de facto steward of a burgeoning digital territory. The responsibility was profound, yet Gavin remained undeterred. He coordinated with developers, ensured the integrity of the codebase, and facilitated discussions on Bitcoin's future direction. It was during this time that he founded the Bitcoin Foundation, in September 2012, to promote the growth of the currency. The foundation aimed to provide structure and support, both financially and through advocacy, to the decentralized community that Bitcoin fostered. However, with structure came inevitable dissent. Critics questioned whether such an organization compromised Bitcoin's decentralized ethos. Gavin, ever the pragmatist, navigated these waters with the intent of fostering dialogue and cooperation. His life in Amherst was quiet, a stark contrast to the digital maelstrom he was immersed in. Away from the screen, Gavin was simply another resident, a family man devoted to his children, and a community member respected for his intellect and humility. Yet the dichotomy between his everyday life and his online persona was stark. Online, he was a target for those skeptical of Bitcoin's legitimacy. In forums and chat rooms, debates often erupted over Bitcoin's direction, technical issues, and its philosophical underpinnings. Even as Gavin fostered trust within the community, he was acutely aware of the challenges that lay ahead. The anonymity that Bitcoin promised was a double-edged sword, lauded by those seeking privacy and criticized by regulators and authorities wary of illicit activities. Regulation loomed as a potential adversary. Governments worldwide began to notice Bitcoin, not as a fad, but as a legitimate concern. Some labeled it a tool for the black market, while others viewed it as a potential avenue for financial inclusion. Gavin found himself at the center of a debate that transcended technology, delving into ethics, economics, and freedom. His task was not only to guard the technical sanctity of Bitcoin, but also to educate others about its transformative potential. Among his allies was Mike Hearn, another prominent developer. Their partnership and mutual respect underscored the collaborative spirit that Bitcoin necessitated. Both understood that while their roles were critical, Bitcoin's strength lay in its community. Yet, as Bitcoin's value and notoriety grew, so did the internal rifts. Philosophical disagreements began to surface, particularly concerning how the network should scale to accommodate an increasing number of transactions. Gavin advocated for solutions he believed would sustain Bitcoin's growth while maintaining its integrity. His proposals, though grounded in technical merit, were not immune to controversy. The community was passionate, and debates were heated, fueled by the stakes involved. In May 2012, this passion culminated in the blockchain.info hack, which rattled the community. The incident was a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities inherent in a nascent system. Gavin's response was measured yet determined. He worked tirelessly to address security lapses and restore confidence. Despite the challenges, Gavin's resolve did not waver. He was a builder, at heart, driven by a vision of what could be achieved when technology and human ingenuity converged. As Bitcoin edged further into the public consciousness, Gavin's role became increasingly complex. The line between development and diplomacy blurred, and he found himself balancing technical responsibilities with public advocacy. Yet in the quiet moments, Gavin pondered the weight of his endeavor. Did he see himself as a mere caretaker or as a pioneer of something far greater? The answer perhaps lay somewhere in between, where vision met reality and where human stories intertwined with the relentless march of technology. In the dim glow of his computer screen, Gavin knew that the next chapter of Bitcoin's journey would bring even more profound trials. In every line of code, in every decision made, he felt the pulse of a world in transition. The community he cherished stood on the brink of a new era, one that would test not just its infrastructure, but its very philosophy. As Gavin reflected on the path ahead, he understood that his role was far from over. The world was watching, and the next step would shape the legacy of everything they had built. And thus, the scene was set for the trials that lay ahead, not just for Gavin, but for the entire Bitcoin community as they navigated the treacherous waters of fame, fortune, and fidelity. And thus the scene was set for the trials that lay ahead, not just for Gavin, but for the entire Bitcoin community as they navigated the treacherous waters of fame, fortune, and fidelity. As Bitcoin surged in popularity, so too did the demands on those who were perceived as its leaders. One name above others came to symbolize this era of profound transformation: Gavin Andresen. By 2014, Bitcoin had begun to break out of the shadows, no longer a mere curiosity of the tech-savvy few. The currency had grown from a market value in the thousands of dollars in 2010 to hundreds of millions, sparking both intrigue and skepticism across financial markets worldwide. Institutions like the New York Stock Exchange and the Chicago Mercantile Exchange were starting to take cautious glances at Bitcoin, considering its potential as a legitimate financial instrument. For Gavin, however, this meteoric rise meant something deeper. He was no longer a coder working quietly from his home in Amherst, Massachusetts. He had become the de facto public face of a movement that many saw as revolutionary. Bitcoin had outgrown its nascent stages, and with that growth came a clamor for accountability and direction. In November 2014, Gavin attended a conference in Miami, where he found himself surrounded by a mix of fervent supporters and critical skeptics. The conference was packed, with thousands of attendees eager to hear from the man they deemed the steward of Satoshi Nakamoto's vision. As he took the stage, Gavin was keenly aware of the weight on his shoulders. His speech touched upon Bitcoin's potential to change the world, but he also addressed the inherent complexities of guiding a decentralized project. He emphasized that Bitcoin's strength lay in its community, a diverse, sometimes discordant group of individuals united by a shared belief in the power of decentralized currency. Gavin's words were measured, careful, and deliberate, reflecting his deep understanding of the delicate balance he had to maintain. But Gavin was not alone in these efforts. He had allies like Jeff Garzik and Mike Hearn, fellow developers who shared his vision and were instrumental in the continued development of Bitcoin's infrastructure. Together, they faced the challenge of scaling Bitcoin to accommodate its growing user base, a task that required not only technical expertise, but also negotiation and compromise. Despite these efforts, there were cracks beginning to appear in the facade of unity. Disagreements over technical direction, such as block size limits, began to surface, dividing developers and community members alike. The debates were fierce, sometimes acrimonious, revealing the passionate nature of those involved in the project. In the midst of this, Gavin continued to advocate for Bitcoin's growth, attending conferences and speaking to audiences about its potential benefits. His message was one of optimism and opportunity, rooted in his belief that Bitcoin could empower individuals in ways traditional financial systems could not. Yet, as Bitcoin gained traction, the pressures on Gavin intensified. He found himself under scrutiny, not only from the media, but also from within the Bitcoin community itself. April 2015 brought another significant moment for Gavin as he participated in a panel discussion in New York City. The event was hosted by the Financial Times and attracted a wide array of attendees, from Wall Street executives to tech startups. It was here that Gavin first publicly acknowledged the challenges facing Bitcoin, including regulatory hurdles and security concerns. His candor was noted by many, but it was his unwavering commitment to Bitcoin's core principles that truly resonated. He spoke of the need to balance innovation with responsibility, to ensure that Bitcoin's growth did not compromise its foundational ideals. This was a delicate dance, one that required both conviction and a willingness to adapt as circumstances changed. However, Gavin's role as a public figure was not without its drawbacks. As Bitcoin's price fluctuated and new cryptocurrencies emerged, the pressure to maintain Bitcoin's dominance became palpable. Critics questioned if Bitcoin could continue to lead the charge in a rapidly evolving landscape, and Gavin was often in the crosshairs of these debates. In early 2016, a pivotal event marked a turning point in Gavin's journey. On May 2nd, Australian entrepreneur Wright claimed to be Satoshi Nakamoto, a revelation that sent shockwaves through the Bitcoin community. Gavin, having met with Wright and seen what he believed to be conclusive proof, publicly endorsed him as the enigmatic creator. The endorsement was met with skepticism and backlash. Many in the community felt betrayed, accusing Gavin of hastily jumping to conclusions without sufficient evidence. The trust he had painstakingly built over years seemed to unravel overnight. For Gavin, the fallout was both personal and professional, a moment that marked the beginning of a more challenging phase in his career. As the dust settled, it became clear that the implications of Gavin's misjudgment extended beyond just his reputation. It highlighted the fragility of trust within decentralized networks, where consensus and credibility are paramount. The incident also served as a cautionary tale for others in the burgeoning field of cryptocurrency, underscoring the importance of careful vetting and verification. In the months that followed, Gavin stepped back from his visible role in the Bitcoin community, focusing instead on more technical aspects of development. He continued to contribute to the code base, albeit with a diminished public presence. This period of introspection allowed Gavin to reassess his approach and priorities, finding solace in the work that first drew him to Bitcoin. Yet the question remained, could he rebuild the trust that was lost? The Bitcoin community, though resilient, was wary. They had seen firsthand the consequences of misplaced faith and were cautious about placing their confidence in any single figure. Despite this, Gavin's contributions to Bitcoin's early success and his ongoing efforts were undeniable. His journey was a testament to the complexities of leadership within a decentralized movement, where the stakes are high and the path is often unclear. As the Bitcoin world looked to the future, it was evident that Gavin's story was far from over. In the following chapter, we will explore the long-term impact of Andreessen's decisions, tracing the ripple effects through the Bitcoin ecosystem and beyond. What lessons could be drawn from his experience, and how might they shape the ongoing narrative of cryptocurrency? What lessons could be drawn from his experience, and how might they shape the ongoing narrative of cryptocurrency? The story of Gavin Andreessen's unfortunate misstep in 2016, when he endorsed Wright as Satoshi Nakamoto, offers both cautionary tales and profound insights into the nature of leadership and trust within decentralized systems. As we delve into this chapter, we begin to understand the weight of decisions made in the crucible of innovation. Gavin Andreessen was known for his meticulous approach and dedication. Born as Gavin Bell in Adelaide, Australia, in 1966, he graduated from Princeton University in 1988 with a degree in computer science. His path to Bitcoin began in the late 2000s when he settled in Amherst, Massachusetts, and soon after discovered Bitcoin in 2010. What started as a curiosity quickly grew into a passion, and by 2011, Andreessen was a crucial figure in the Bitcoin landscape. When Satoshi Nakamoto, the enigmatic creator of Bitcoin, handed over the reins to Andreessen in April 2011 through a pivotal email, it was a mark of profound trust. Andreessen's stewardship of the fledgling cryptocurrency community brought stability and growth. He became the public face of Bitcoin, a role that demanded both technical proficiency and a skillful navigation of the burgeoning community's expectations and challenges. By 2016, Bitcoin had evolved from an obscure digital experiment to an established, albeit volatile, financial entity. The stakes were higher, and Bitcoin's market value had climbed from thousands to billions of dollars. Against this backdrop of increased scrutiny and skepticism, the quest to unmask Satoshi Nakamoto intensified. Enter Wright, an Australian computer scientist who claimed to be the elusive creator of Bitcoin. Andreessen's involvement in this claim began with a private showcase in London, where Wright presented evidence intended to prove his identity as Satoshi. Convincing or coercive, the demonstration left Andreessen persuaded, leading to his fateful public endorsement of Wright's claim. This endorsement was not just a personal mistake. It was a seismic event that rippled through the Bitcoin community. Many viewed it as a betrayal of the principles that underpinned Bitcoin's anonymity and decentralization. Andreessen, once the steady hand guiding Bitcoin through its formative years, found himself at the center of a storm of criticism and doubt. The backlash was swift and severe. Andreessen was stripped of his commit access to Bitcoin's core code repository, a decision made by the other developers to protect the project from potential risks associated with being linked to Wright's controversial claim. This marked a significant moment in Bitcoin's governance, highlighting the tension between individual authority and collective decision-making. The fallout from Andreessen's misstep also served as a poignant reminder of the fragility of trust, especially in a decentralized system where no single entity holds absolute power. Trust in Andreessen had been built over years of consistent contributions and transparent leadership. Yet, with one public endorsement, that trust was dramatically eroded. For Andreessen, the personal toll was considerable. The endorsement of Wright was not just a professional misjudgment. It was a profound personal misstep that altered the trajectory of his career. Friends and colleagues who had once admired his work now questioned his judgment. Andreessen's reputation, meticulously built over years, was now overshadowed by a single controversial decision. Looking back, Andreessen's misstep underscores the complexity of navigating the intersection of technology and human fallibility. In a system like Bitcoin, where decentralization is key, the actions of an individual can still wield significant influence. This paradox of influence versus decentralization is a lesson that extends far beyond Andreessen and his experiences. For the Bitcoin community, this incident catalyzed a deeper conversation about governance, trust, and the role of individual leaders within decentralized networks. It prompted developers and community members alike to reevaluate the structures and processes that guide decision-making within the ecosystem. The incident became a case study in the importance of skepticism, due diligence, and the collective responsibility to safeguard the project's founding ideals. In the years following the incident, Andreessen took a step back from the limelight. He continued to contribute to the open-source community, but maintained a lower profile within the Bitcoin sphere. The experience appeared to have instilled a sense of caution and introspection. Andreessen's journey serves as a reminder that even those with the best intentions can falter, and that the path to innovation is often fraught with challenges. The narrative of Andreessen's misstep also shines a light on the broader implications for cryptocurrency communities. As these communities grow and evolve, they face the ongoing challenge of balancing innovation with prudence. The lessons learned from Andreessen's experience emphasize the importance of transparency, community engagement, and the need for robust mechanisms of accountability. As we reflect on the fallout from 2016, the story of Gavin Andreessen becomes more than a tale of personal downfall. It is a critical chapter in the history of Bitcoin, one that highlights the importance of humility and adaptability in the face of rapid technological change. The lessons drawn from this episode continue to inform the development of cryptocurrency, shaping the policies and practices of projects that strive to learn from the past. As Chapter 6 concludes, we look to the future, pondering how the principles forged in these early, turbulent years will guide the next phase of Bitcoin's evolution. Will the community continue to uphold the ideals of transparency and decentralization, or will new challenges demand a reevaluation of those principles? In the next chapter, we reflect on Andreessen's broader legacy, seeking to understand the lasting impact of his contributions and the lessons they impart for the generations of developers who follow. In the next chapter, we reflect on Andreessen's broader legacy, seeking to understand the lasting impact of his contributions and the lessons they impart for the generations of developers who follow. Gavin Andreessen, born Gavin Bell in 1966, spent his early years in Adelaide, Australia, before relocating to the United States. By 1988, he had graduated from Princeton University, setting the stage for a career in software development. It was this background, a blend of technical acumen and an adventurous spirit, that led him to Bitcoin in 2010, a project still shrouded in the nascent potential of digital currency. The Bitcoin world was small then, its market value merely in the thousands of dollars. Early adopters were drawn by a shared vision of decentralized currency, and Gavin quickly became a pivotal figure in this community. His creation of the Bitcoin faucet, an innovative experiment that distributed 5 free Bitcoin to visitors, was emblematic of his belief in accessibility and inclusion. April 2011 marked a turning point. Satoshi Nakamoto, the enigmatic creator of Bitcoin, reached out to Gavin via email, entrusting him with the role of lead developer. This moment was both a personal milestone for Gavin and a significant step in Bitcoin's evolution, as it transitioned from Satoshi's singular vision to a more community-driven project. Gavin's efforts to grow Bitcoin's user base were marked by a delicate balance of technical stewardship and community engagement. In the years that followed, he became not only a caretaker of the code, but also a trusted voice within the ecosystem. His advocacy, often conducted from his home in Amherst, Massachusetts, was characterized by a pragmatic optimism that appealed to both developers and investors alike. Yet, Gavin's journey was not without missteps. His endorsement of Wright as Satoshi Nakamoto in 2016 was a decision that reverberated through the Bitcoin community. The backlash was swift and unforgiving, casting a shadow over his once unassailable reputation. Many saw it as a breach of trust, a moment where judgment was clouded by the desire for confirmation over scrutiny. The aftermath of this endorsement was profound. Gavin's role within the Bitcoin project diminished. His voice no longer carried the same weight in discussions and decision-making. This period of reflection and recalibration forced both Gavin and the community to confront the fallibility of leadership in a decentralized world. Despite the controversy, Gavin's contributions to Bitcoin remain significant. He was instrumental in the early development stages, guiding the project through uncharted waters and helping to establish a foundation that would support its exponential growth. His influence can still be seen in the protocols and practices that underpin Bitcoin's ongoing evolution. The lessons from Gavin's journey extend beyond the technical realm. They underscore the complexities of trust and leadership in decentralized systems. In a world where consensus is king, the role of a leader is not to command, but to facilitate, to gently steer rather than dictate. Gavin's story illustrates the fragile balance between authority and collaboration, a balance that future developers will need to navigate with care. As we look to the future, Gavin's experience offers a cautionary tale. It serves as a reminder that innovation is not just about advancing technology, but about fostering a culture of transparency and accountability. Developers stepping into the space must be prepared to question, to challenge assumptions, and to uphold the principles of decentralization that are the very bedrock of projects like Bitcoin. Gavin's legacy is one of both triumph and caution. His early contributions helped shape a world where digital currency is no longer a fringe concept, but a force challenging traditional financial systems. Yet, his later misjudgment offers a sobering insight into the vulnerabilities inherent in such pioneering endeavors. Reflecting on Gavin's path, it is clear that his story is not just about Bitcoin, but about the human aspects of innovation. The drive, the passion, the mistakes, and the resilience, all these elements are woven into the fabric of technological advancement. Developers who follow must learn from both his achievements and his errors, understanding that legacy is built on a foundation of both success and failure. As we close this chapter, we turn our attention to the broader implications of Gavin's work. We consider how his story fits into the larger narrative of Bitcoin and the digital currency movement. The lessons learned from his journey continue to resonate, influencing how communities form, grow, and sustain themselves in the digital age. In the next chapter, we delve into the ongoing evolution of Bitcoin, exploring how the foundation laid by pioneers like Gavin Andresen continues to impact the project and its community. As new challenges arise and fresh voices join the conversation, the legacy of those who came before provides a guiding light, a reminder of the power and responsibility inherent in shaping the future. And so, as we prepare to explore these new horizons, we carry forward the lessons of past and present, seeking to understand not just where we are going, but how we can get there together. As the dust settled from the chaos of his endorsement, Gavin Andresen found himself in a quiet, relentless storm of introspection. During these moments, he recalled the idyllic years in Amherst, Massachusetts, where the seeds of his monumental journey had first taken root. The town was small, nestled within the Pioneer Valley, offering a serene backdrop as his life grew intertwined with a digital currency that promised to change the world. Life in Amherst, far removed from the bustling tech hubs, lent a peaceful rhythm that had been conducive to his early work on Bitcoin. His children grew up surrounded by the peaceful beauty of the New England hills, and Gavin was generally seen as a good neighbor, absorbed in his work, but always approachable. The year was 2010 when Gavin, then a software developer seeking his next big project, stumbled upon Bitcoin. It was an idea at the nascent stage, its market value just a whisper in the wind, a few $1,000s at best. Gavin's path from an interested observer to a pivotal figure in Bitcoin's journey had been swift. After graduating from Princeton University in 1988, he had wandered through various tech roles, each leaving an imprint but not quite igniting the passion he sought. Bitcoin, however, was different. It was a spark in the darkness. The Bitcoin faucet, a simple yet revolutionary concept, was born from his desire to spread this new idea, giving away 5 Bitcoin to anyone who wanted them. The memory of those early days brought a faint smile to his face. People laughed at the idea then, unaware that one day those 5 tokens would become a fortune. He often wondered about the recipients of those early giveaways. Did they hold on to them, Or were they exchanged for pizzas like the now legendary transaction of 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas? Yet, as time flowed like the nearby Connecticut River, the laughter turned to awe and the skeptics became believers. The Bitcoin network expanded, drawing in developers and idealists, each eager to contribute to this grand digital experiment. Gavin became the caretaker after Satoshi Nakamoto's departure. Satoshi's last known email came in April 2011, a brief message signaling his exit and leaving Gavin with the keys to a burgeoning kingdom. This email would forever mark a turning point in Gavin's life, thrusting him into a role he had neither sought nor anticipated. His stewardship was critical during the formative years. He worked tirelessly, not only on the code but also on fostering a vibrant, decentralized community. In essence, he became the public face of Bitcoin, a mantle that brought with it not just admiration but also scrutiny. With trust came responsibility, and with responsibility, the inevitable weight of human error. This introspection brought Gavin back to the most recent chapter of his life, the endorsement that had tarnished his reputation. The year was 2016, and his public support of Wright, who claimed to be Satoshi Nakamoto, had rippled through the Bitcoin community like a shockwave. The backlash was immediate and unforgiving. He had staked his credibility on a claim that many dismissed as a hoax. The community questioned his judgment, and some even asked if he had been compromised. Gavin was not unaccustomed to criticism, but this was different. This was deeply personal. It was an indictment not just of his decision, but of his character. As the months passed, he retreated into a quieter existence, away from the limelight. The world of cryptocurrencies was evolving rapidly, yet his role had diminished significantly. He reflected on his journey, from the bright enthusiasm of his early days to the heavy clouds that now hung over his legacy. He considered the lessons learned, the complexities of trust, and the nuances of leadership in a decentralized world. Gavin knew his story was not just about Bitcoin, but about the broader implications of innovation and responsibility. He recognized that his journey paralleled the rise and fall of many pioneers who dared to tread new paths. And then there was Satoshi, a figure shrouded in mystery, yet ever present in Gavin's thoughts. The enigmatic creator, whose absence was felt as much as their presence once was. Gavin wondered if he would ever be able to reconcile the admiration he held for Satoshi with the reality of his actions. Could he separate his contributions from the shadows cast by his missteps? In the quiet hours of reflection, he would return to the early emails, the technical discussions, the shared vision of a decentralized future. The ideals that had first drawn him to Bitcoin remained as vital as ever, even if the path had proven more treacherous than anticipated. Despite it all, he still believed in the core principles of Bitcoin. He saw its potential for positive change, for redefining the very fabric of financial transactions worldwide. He remained hopeful that in time, his contributions would be understood in the context of the larger narrative. Yet, there was more to be done. His story was not over, and the lessons of the past would serve as a guide for the future. As he stood at the crossroads of his journey, Gavin knew that the next chapter would demand not just reflection, but the courage to begin anew. The investigation into his actions might have cast a long shadow, but it also illuminated the path forward, a path that would require honesty, resilience, and perhaps redemption. As he looked towards the horizon, the next steps awaited, a chance to rebuild and to redefine. In the same way that Bitcoin continued to evolve, so too would Gavin Anderson. The future beckoned, holding within its bounds the promise of new beginnings. The future beckoned, holding within its bounds the promise of new beginnings. Gavin Anderson stood at the threshold, contemplating a legacy both profound and fraught with complexity. His journey through the Bitcoin landscape had been as tumultuous as it was groundbreaking, marked by visionary strides and poignant missteps. As he reflected on a decade of influence, one truth remained clear. His contributions had forever altered the fabric of digital currency. Gavin, born Gavin Bell in Adelaide, Australia, in 1966, had embarked on a path that led him from the sun-drenched shores of Australia to the hallowed halls of Princeton University. Graduating in 1988, he was armed with a degree in computer science and a keen interest in the burgeoning field of technology. The late 2000s found him settling in Amherst, Massachusetts, a picturesque town where he would first encounter the nascent concept of Bitcoin. This digital innovation, promising a new monetary revolution, intrigued him deeply. In 2010, Bitcoin was an enigma, its total market value barely scratching the surface of the thousands of dollars. Yet it captivated a small group of intrepid pioneers who saw beyond mere code to the potential of a decentralized future. Among them was Satoshi Nakamoto, the mysterious figure whose identity remains one of the greatest mysteries of the digital age. It was Satoshi who, recognizing Gavin's enthusiasm and technical acumen, reached out with a pivotal email in April 2011, entrusting him with the future of Bitcoin. Gavin responded by creating the Bitcoin Faucet, a simple yet powerful tool designed to familiarize the public with cryptocurrency. By giving away 5 free Bitcoin to visitors, he aimed to demystify and democratize access to this new form of money. At a time when Bitcoin was valued at mere cents on the dollar, this initiative seemed almost trivial. However, in retrospect, it was a visionary step toward mainstream adoption. As the caretaker of Bitcoin following Satoshi's departure, Gavin found himself at the heart of a burgeoning community. He dedicated himself to refining the code base and expanding Bitcoin's reach, channeling the sense of trust bestowed upon him by Satoshi into tangible progress. Under his stewardship, Bitcoin transitioned from a niche curiosity to a formidable force in the financial world. By fostering trust and transparency, Gavin cemented his status as a pillar of the community. Nevertheless, with increased visibility came heightened scrutiny. As the public face of Bitcoin, Gavin navigated challenges that few could have anticipated. Representing a decentralized project was akin to walking a tightrope, balancing the ideals of the community with the expectations of an ever-watching world. His advocacy efforts took him to stages and forums worldwide, where he articulated Bitcoin's potential, not just as a currency, but as a transformative force for economic freedom. Yet, it wasn't long before the weight of his position bore unexpected consequences. In 2016, the cryptosphere was thrown into turmoil when Gavin publicly endorsed Wright's claim to being Satoshi Nakamoto. The backlash was swift and unforgiving, calling into question not only Gavin's judgment, but also his legacy. His misstep reverberated through the corridors of the Bitcoin community, permanently altering the perception of his role in its history. In the years that followed, Gavin receded from the limelight, choosing a path of introspection more than advocacy. His focus shifted toward personal projects, echoing the quieter aspects of his early career. Yet, even in this quieter phase, his influence continued to be felt. The technological advancements and community ethos that characterized Bitcoin during its formative years bore his indelible imprint. Reflecting on his journey, the lessons gleaned from his experiences were as manifold as they were profound. Gavin's story was a testament to the unpredictable nature of innovation and the human capacity for both achievement and error. His legacy, while complex, was not defined by a single misjudgment, but by a broader tapestry woven through dedication, creativity, and a deep-seated belief in the power of technology to reshape society. For those who followed in his footsteps, Gavin's narrative served as both a cautionary tale and a source of inspiration. The vision of a decentralized future, sparked by his early efforts, continued to inspire developers, entrepreneurs, and dreamers. The lessons learned from his missteps underscored the importance of skepticism and the due diligence required in a rapidly evolving digital world. The Bitcoin landscape of today, with its expansive reach and multi-billion-dollar market cap, owes much to the foundations laid by Gavin during his formative years. The ideas he championed and the decisions he made reverberate through the ethos of decentralized finance, influencing not just Bitcoin, but the broader cryptocurrency ecosystem. As technology continues to evolve, the principles he espoused, transparency, innovation, and collaboration, remain cornerstones of the community. As we contemplate the legacy of Gavin Andresen, we acknowledge the duality of his contributions. He is celebrated for his technical prowess, yet remembered for his human fallibility. His journey through the digital frontier is a reflection of the broader story of Bitcoin itself, a narrative filled with promise, complexity, and the relentless pursuit of a better world. The future beckons still, with challenges and opportunities waiting to be explored. As we turn the page, we carry forward the lessons of the past, ready to face what lies ahead with renewed insight and determination. Ahead loomed new questions, new frontiers, and the unyielding quest for truth in a world forever changed by those who dared to dream. Satoshi Nakamoto's choice of Gavin Andresen was more than a decision. It was an act of trust. In the world of Bitcoin, where anonymity and cryptography reign supreme, trust is a rare commodity. Yet Andresen embodied it, a testament to his character and commitment. He nurtured Bitcoin from infancy to adolescence, remaining steadfast in his dedication to a vision larger than any single individual. Gavin Andresen's journey is a mirror reflecting the complexities of human nature. It shows us that even in a realm governed by code and logic, our deepest desires and errors can lead us astray. We long for truths and seek validation, and in doing so, we sometimes find ourselves at the mercy of our own need for certainty. Andresen's fall from grace, triggered by endorsing Wright's claims, is a poignant reminder of the human yearning to solve mysteries, to find closure. His actions, though flawed, were driven by a quest shared by many, to finally unmask the enigmatic creator of a world-changing phenomenon. In the end, Andresen's story transcends the confines of technology. It speaks to the fragile nature of trust in a digital age where identities are masked and intentions can be obscured. It invites contemplation on how easily belief can be manufactured and how diligently we must guard it. Bitcoin continues its journey, an entity beyond any one person. It stands as a testament to the power of decentralized technology, resilient and autonomous. Its continued existence is a tribute to all those who laid its foundation, including Gavin Andresen. As we reflect on Andresen's contributions, we are reminded of the humanity embedded in every line of code, in every decision made. Fallibility does not negate one's legacy. Rather, it is woven into it, a reminder of our shared human experience. Gavin Andresen was more than a caretaker of Bitcoin. He was a pioneer who dared to dream of a new world. His journey is a lesson in perseverance and humility, in the power and the peril of trust. As you close your eyes tonight, let the story of Gavin Andresen serve as a gentle whisper, a reminder that even amid technological marvels, we remain deeply human, fallible yet striving. Drift softly into sleep, knowing that the world continues to turn, guided by those who dare to innovate and by those who learn from their paths. Rest easy, knowing that, like Bitcoin, your journey is yours to define.